Onika, what is the most self-destructive thing you've ever done?
Well, 3 years ago, I took 50 clonazepams, laid on my living room floor, and prayed to God that I wouldn't die. So I would say that was pretty self-destructive.
I got that dish, dish, dish. I got that dish. I got that dish. That dish.
Hey y'all, it's Onika.
And JR.
And you are dishing with Dainty Dish. How you doing today, JR?
I am doing fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Work's going really well, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, life is good. Life is really good. Much different than it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I didn't get that. So you took 30 pills.
50.
50 pills and then hoped you wouldn't die? Like, that doesn't sound very logical.
Let me just explain what had happened. So I was at the very start of a manic episode, my 7th and last. Let's cross our fingers on that one. And I was doing a lot of self-reflection at the time, and I discovered some things about my past that were really, really challenging, and I caused a very severe panic attack. And I had wanted to take my Ativan, but I didn't have it. I didn't have any left. I'd been taking them like candy, basically, because I was in the midst of a manic episode. So I took my sleeping pills. I take clonazepam to sleep. So I took 10 in my hand, popped them in my mouth, drank some water. And when the panic wouldn't surpass or pass, I popped 10 more in my hand, put them in my mouth, drank some water, and I did that, basically to do that 3 more times till the bottle was empty. And at the time I lived in the beaches, so I was in the basement apartment of a house, and I laid on the floor and I was in and out of consciousness because if anyone knows about clonazepam or has ever taken clonazepam, it kind of sedates you. But with that amount I took, I was in and out and in and out, and I could see my TV clock. I could see it in front of me, and it would say like 3 o'clock, then 4 o'clock. I'd open my eyes and I'd see the time. So I was out for maybe about 3 hours, and then I remember crawling to my cell phone, which was on my bed, and I called my grandma Judy, and I told her I just took some pills, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I don't think I'm okay." And so, I'm sorry guys, this is a really difficult conversation for me. And so she drove up to Toronto, picked me up, and then checked me into Lakeridge Hospital in Oshawa, where I spent 2 weeks, but I was still having a serious episode. And though I had always considered it an accidental overdose, because I was trying to just take the pain of what I discovered about my past away, they recorded it as an attempted suicide.
I don't know. I wouldn't disagree with that analysis.
Yeah, I've been reflecting on it lately because of everything I'm going through onboarding at work, and I'm learning about mental health and addiction services, and this is a big issue. And I reflected on saying to myself and denying to myself, "Oh no, this was just an accidental overdose. I didn't mean to do it. I just wanted my panic to stop." But I was in so much pain at the time. I'll be honest with you, I discovered that I'd been molested. Some really bad memories came to the surface, and I could feel the touch of this man's hands all over my body, and I just wanted it to stop. And, I didn't have my job. I was isolated from my family. I needed help. I didn't know how to ask for it. And I wanted it to end. I knew where I was headed, the road I was going down in regards to probably being hospitalized. And I just kind of, I called my grandma, and I was like, I have to go to the hospital. Like, I have to go to the hospital. Something, like, I can't believe Onika, me, like, the person that never gives up, was actually in that moment giving up.
Yeah. So how did you had just enough So you were conscious enough to make the call to your grandma Judy.
Yeah.
And she came and got you to
Lake Ridge Hospital in Oshawa. She drove me. That was at the time my home hospital.
So once you were in the hospital, what was it like? What was it like having to deal with being under observation for a suicide attempt?
It wasn't much different than being under observation for psychosis. I mean, I feel like I was checked up on a lot more. I also found that they put the suicide patients together. So my roommates, I had 5 of them in the 2 weeks that I was there, which just, again, goes to show you how broken the system can be. All 5 of those roommates were suicidal. And some had taken pills. Actually, I think most of them had tried to end their life that way, and they were just pumped out. And I feel one of the only reasons I was able to stay for as long as I did, because once you're cleared, it's called this this period of like where you're having the suicidal ideations. It can pass, obviously. So once it passes and they deem you safe, they let you go. So that's what all the turnover was about, it seemed, with my roommates. But I think about them now, and I think like...
Well, I don't want to talk about them. I want to talk about you. So you were there for 2 weeks. So you saw 5 roommates come in and out and be deemed as good to go. But that means that you weren't. What was going on then?
I was manic. I was having a manic episode. So there's duality there. Now I'm having this issue with my bipolar. I'm having a manic episode, and on top of that, I'm suicidal.
Okay.
So sorry, go ahead.
So what kind of challenges did that pose from the standpoint of your medications? Because now the medication that's used to help you with your bipolar is now the cause of your, or I guess not the cause, but it was used. You abused the use of your bipolar medication. So what did that like? I want to know, like, what was that? What was that like? Like, how did the doctors put Humpty Dumpty back together again? Like, that's what I want to know.
Well, it's all about checking your levels, really. Okay. I didn't get sleep meds while I was there. That's one thing they didn't do. They didn't give me medication for sleep.
But you were able to sleep?
No, I wasn't. Okay. I wasn't able to sleep at all during those 2 weeks. Actually, I feel like they gave me something. They just didn't give me clonazepam. They might have given me something. I lie. They gave me something, but I was so manic, which is like so high that it wouldn't work. So I'd be up every hour on the hour at the nurse's station, just bugging the shit out of them, telling them, I want cookies, or I need more meds to sleep. I can't sleep. And they'd just be like, go lie down, you'll be fine. And I couldn't for the life of me fall to sleep. And I think a part of it was I was scared. I was scared of closing my eyes and ending up in the place that I would have ended up at if it had worked, if what I had done had worked. So I think there was some fear in there too, along with the mania.
So would you say that the two were connected?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say whenever I have a manic episode, it seems to be whatever's going on in my life at the time, be it, an issue at work, I've gotten fired, I end up hallucinating and having delusions and around that subject, around that topic. And I did this thing that even up to now, like, I wasn't in my right mind. And that is one of the That's one of the risk factors of suicide. Like when you're not in your right mind, or you have a terminal illness, or, you know, whatever the case may be that causes you to be suicidal. I wasn't in my right mind, so I wasn't making proper decisions. I was being impulsive. So my impulse was to make the pain stop at any cost, even if it cost me my life.
So what stops you from making that type of decision today?
I think I'm sane today. I think I'm one of the main things just coming out of the hospital that I did to prevent anything like this from ever happening again was actually implementing the blister pack. Do you know what a blister pack is?
I do, but you should share.
Okay, well, for all those people out there who are on any kind of medications, this is what I would recommend you do. They usually give it to you in a vial. They'll give you 30 to 60 to 50 pills at once, and you know, you're expected to remember to take them every single day at the right time. And I take about 9 pills a day. About 6 of them are for sleep. So I put them in a blister pack, which is a little kind of like, remember those Christmas Advent candles? It's like having an Advent candle for your medication. So it separates the days, it separates what medications you're supposed to take, and the time of the day you're supposed to take them.
The thing for old people.
Yeah, the thing for old people. The little plastic Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The thing for old people.
Yeah. So I don't know how to relate to this. Like I've never had a suicidal thought. I just can't even I couldn't, no matter how bad things have gotten. Things haven't gotten that bad for me. It's not something I would even consider. So I don't know how to relate. Like I don't know.
Well, I think I wanted to share that specific story today because I wanted to talk about self-destructive behavior. And, you know, everybody experiences self-destructive behavior at some point. If you're abusing drugs or alcohol or sex or money or any number of things, you know, could be self-destructive. But at one spectrum is complete and total like bliss in life, confidence and love and kindness and happiness and all those sweet things, you know, confidence, and I said confidence, sorry. But on the other end of the spectrum, when you're experiencing things like anxiety and depression, suicide is it's just around the corner sometimes. When you're bipolar, like I am, and experiencing a manic episode like I did, and making bad decisions, impulsive decisions like I did, and almost attempting to take my life, you know, or you're schizophrenic, you know, and you hear voices in your head telling you to jump off of a cliff or jump off of a building, you know, or jump in front of a car. You know, you're not necessarily, it's challenging. It's just very, very challenging, and I wanted to have a conversation about, you know, a really important topic.
Self-destructive behavior.
Self-destructive behavior.
Sure.
But specifically as it relates to things like suicide.
Okay.
I'm
going to ask questions. Hope you're an expert on this one.
We'll see. Before I start, I'm just going to wrap off a couple facts really quick just to get, so we can all get an idea of what's going on with this very sensitive subject. So it's the 9th leading cause of death in Canada. Almost 4,000 people died of suicide in 2018. Males are 3 times more likely to take their life by suicide than women, but women are 3 times more likely to attempt to end their lives. And according to the Canadian...
Can you say that one again?
Which, the last one?
The last two.
The last two? Males are 3 times more likely to die by suicide than women, but females are 3 times more likely to attempt to take their lives.
So when men do it, they're serious about it.
Yeah, well, the reason is, well, yes, that is true. It's not that they're serious.
Okay, that's the stat you threw at me.
No, it's because and they subscribe it to this because when men do it, they usually use firearms or like hanging, and women use poison, like medication. So that, like a firearm, you can't pump a bullet out of your head and live, but you can pump a woman's stomach full of Adderall and she survives. So it's the method they choose.
One's more like, I'm going to make sure I get this
Yeah,
done.
I'm getting this done. I'm getting this done. Whereas one's more unsure and more of a cry for help. Because my situation, too, it was a cry for help.
You're seeking attention.
No, I wouldn't say seeking attention in that tone. More attention that's really needed because I'm sick. I'm not well. Something is wrong with me. But I don't know how to express that to the people that I need to express that to, so I choose to end my life. Or to attempt to end my life in hopes that they understand the pain that I'm in. So that's what I think for women. Let's be speaking on behalf of women because I'm a woman. Women are hospitalized 1.5 times more often than males for suicide-related behavior.
Well, if the men are doing it and getting it done.
Exactly.
Okay.
And according to the Canadian Community of Health Survey, 14.7% of Canadians have thought about suicide, and 3.5% have attempted suicide in their lifetime.
Did you say that? What was that number?
14.7% of Canadians have thought about suicide, and 3.5% have attempted suicide in their lifetime. And the most common weapon of self-destruction is guns and poison. So those are the two most common.
Guns and pills.
Guns and pills. Guns and medication. Think about it. We see whenever we see it on television. For instance, the woman's always taking pills and the man's always shooting himself in the head. Like they really, it's not nice to see, but it's an accurate depiction of how it usually goes.
Okay. I don't know. I've never really looked into it to this degree.
Yeah, I looked into it.
I'm not.
My mom gave me a book, really, and I just went ham. Like I just was so interested in knowing because of the field that I'm now in. So interested in knowing how does this happen? How do people get to this point?
Yeah.
And some of the signs of suicidal ideations, substance abuse, feeling purposeless. You have a purpose in life. Everyone has a purpose in life. But imagine feeling like you don't belong on this earth. You have no purpose.
I mean, I felt like I have no purpose a lot of times.
But did you have hope? That you would find a purpose?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know how to relate to this. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I felt that way. Maybe that's something that can be relatable. But no, I don't. I probably had hope because,
You're here.
I'm here, yeah.
You're alive.
Yeah.
Withdrawing, so not being around friends, family, withdrawing from your job. So withdrawal is a big one.
Isolating yourself.
Isolation, anger. Have you ever met a really angry person?
Yeah, I've been angry at times.
You've been angry at times, but
I met angry people, yeah.
I think the anger is to mask the pain that, not you. I'm not psychoanalyzing you. Just in general, people who are angry, they feel a sense of lack in their life. Do you know what I'm saying? There's something lacking or there's something missing and they feel that rage over that. And it could be other things. It could be a simple thing as a traffic jam that makes them angry. But they're just very short fuse. People like that are people, potentially that are at risk to committing suicide.
I guess I know, me, I was short-tempered because I wasn't able to decompress at home. Mm-hmm. And my home needs to be very, zen-like, for lack of a better word.
But there was a stressor. There was a reason why.
Yeah, my home life it wasn't zen. That was the fundamental problem. I need to decompress at home. I'm out in the world all day. When I come home, I don't want to deal with noise and challenges and no. things should work.
Things should work.
Things should work. My light switch should work. I worked all day to pay the light bill. The lights should just work.
Recklessness. So people like, you never think of it, but like a stunt devil. Like a stunt double or a stunt devil. Like, they put their lives at risk every time, like in their job. There has to be something there.
I mean, you could just be really good at gymnastics or something, and like once you hit 18, what's left to do? Can't go to the Olympics anymore. What do you do?
You become a daredevil?
I'm just saying, maybe.
My goodness. A reunion fantasy. So if you're having a reunion fantasy, so let's say like your father dies or your mother dies or your grandmother dies and she has a husband, it's your grandfather. He then, ends his life because he wants to be with the love of his life, your grandmother.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's that. My favorite example in the book that I had read was Saving Face, because they referenced the 1929 stock crash, black market, and how people were jumping out of their windows because of the failure. Like, so when you feel like you're like a complete and total failure and you want to save face, that's one of the reasons that you might commit suicide.
Wow. Okay.
Didn't think of that one.
I didn't think of that one either. Well, yeah.
I talked about gambling with death. So
stunt devil.
Yeah, terminal or chronic illness. So the whole like Kevorkian issue when we were kids. Do you remember Dr. Kevorkian, the suicide doctor?
Wasn't he just like a euthanasia?
Doctor, yeah.
Wasn't he? Okay.
But they also call him the suicide doctor.
Oh, okay. I the name sounds a bit familiar. I think I might remember.
Yeah, so he would help people. Like, he would euthanize people, and it's people with chronic illnesses. They don't want to put their family through the pain. They don't want to put themselves through the pain. So they choose to, exhibit destructive behavior regardless of what their outcome might have been had they chose not to be destructive.
Got it.
What else can I talk about suicide?
I don't know.
Misconceptions?
I like misconceptions.
You like misconceptions?
I like misconceptions. Misconceptions are good.
Suicidal people give no warnings before they commit suicide. Misconception or fact?
That they do give or they don't?
They don't give.
They don't give a warning. False.
False, exactly. It's the fact that I read was 8 out of 10 give verbal and behavioral cues. So they'll say things like how many pills would it take, do you think, to die? Or how far do you think the jump is off this bridge?
Yeah, someone says some shit like that to me, I'm gonna be like, yo, bro.
Yeah, like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Suicidal people want to die, so therefore they're always going to be suicidal.
Okay.
Fact or fiction?
Say that again?
Suicidal people want to die, therefore once suicidal, always suicidal.
False.
And that's exactly correct, because there actually is a limited time for the suicidal crisis period. And that's why they hospitalize us. That's why they hospitalize people who attempt suicide, because there's that period where, essentially you come down off of the adrenaline and like you come from the depression, you're potentially medicated, and you have time to be a little clearer as to what you want to do. So suicidal tendencies are inherited.
Like genetics inherited? Or like nurture kind of
nurture inherited.
Nurture inherited.
I would say,
or like genetics.
Let's say both. Let's talk about both.
I think nurture definitely could play a role.
Okay.
Genetics, I'm not sure. I don't know about DNA. I don't know about that. No clue.
Well, according to this, it says it's an individual pattern of behavior. But then I think of, and I don't know why this popped into my head, because I miss her and I love her so much, Whitney Houston. Her daughter committed suicide in the same manner that she did, like with her overdose. Bathtub, the whole, it was the same thing, and it was, I can't remember how many years afterwards, but that would also be like a reunion type of situation that we talked about earlier.
Yep.
So it could be nurture. It could be nurture.
It could be.
Oh, and my favorite. Only crazy people commit suicide.
True.
False. 10% of all suicides occur as a result of major psychological breakdowns. The rest are just extremely unhappy, not mentally ill.
Okay.
Okay. I have a couple questions for you afterwards, too. Because I want to gauge.
You're the one that has dead space. Keep talking.
So, clues someone is suicidal. What would you think are some clues?
Didn't we just go over this?
No.
Didn't you, ask me things? Didn't we talk about things like showing signs and stuff like that? Didn't we talk about that?
No, we talked about suicidal facts. And then...
Okay, so what are you asking me now?
Persons at risk, we talked about.
Okay, so what are you asking me now?
Clues someone is suicidal.
Okay, what about it?
So, has a history of suicide attempts, talks about death or suicide or wanting to die. What would you think are some of the, if you had a buddy, right?
Yeah.
And he comes to you and he hasn't slept, he hasn't eaten, he's anxious, or he offers to give you his BMW. Okay. And you're like, why are you giving me your BMW? Where are you going? I'm talking about the signs that someone is... Oh,
so my buddy gives me a BMW?
Yeah, are you going to just be happy about the BMW? You're going to be like, why are you giving me your BMW?
I'm taking it, and then I'm going to be like, where are you going?
You're taking the BMW. Where are you going?
Where are you going, bro?
Where are you going?
No, I'll probably drive him right to the hospital in the BMW, but make sure it was signed over to me first.
Feelings of not being worthy to live.
Yeah, if someone comes to me and says they don't feel worthy to live, well, you know what? That's tough, because if you came to me saying you don't want to live, I would be like, F off. Why are you bothering me right now?
Yeah, as a cousin.
Yeah, and I'd be like, look, you got a problem? Look, you know where the hospital is. Look,
you have a psychiatrist, you have a therapist.
Yeah, I'd probably give you that type of energy.
You give me the business.
I'd give you that type of energy, yeah.
You give me the business.
And I'd be like, do you need I can put you in a cab right now to the hospital, but that's as much as I can do for you. Because sometimes I would be more on the tough love side for you, regardless of what the situation is.
And that's what I would need from you. That's why I wouldn't come to you. I would need tiny soft touch.
No, if a friend came to me, I don't even know how I would react to that. That's not something I've actually ever thought about.
This one was weird to me. Is depressed and cries frequently.
If I see a male friend
depressed and crying frequently, wouldn't you be freaked out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be crazy freaked out. I'd be
crying, sobbing, really wailing it out.
I'd be like, bro, trust me, I'd be like, I've been through it, man. She wasn't worth it. That's about all I can give you.
And you know I was right there with you.
I'd be like, oh, boy, she was not worth it.
Boy, I was right there with you.
You weren't with me.
You're like, you weren't with me. Stop it.
Stop putting false
fake news. No, but and it's weird, just going back to the depression part. It's strange how, I think I read somewhere recently, or I heard someone say it, I can't remember the exact context, but they said the person died of depression because they didn't want to say they took their own life. Because I'm like, you can't die of depression and anxiety. It was, I feel like it was in a newspaper article, I can't remember where I read it, but I'm like, I'm in the mental health area, so I know when someone says they died of depression, I'm like, no, that's suicide. That's what, just say it. Say what it is. That's a code word. This is that's stigma right there. That's stigma.
Yeah, but like I remember just being on the subway on occasion where there was a jumper and it wasn't announced. It's not publicized in the news, and nor should it be. I mean, I hate to be insensitive, but who are you to jump in front of a train and inconvenience all the people that are trying to commute home and to work? Who are you?
Who are you?
No, none of us are that important, but which is fine. But I don't know. So should it be publicized? Is that okay? I don't know. I don't think that it should be, because I mean, if we were to bring it up on the news, I mean, I remember talking to one of the ticket collectors at the station, and based on the way the ticket collector was acting, this is not something that does this happens on a regular basis.
Yeah,
this is like a weekly, monthly thing. Like this is nothing that this is not new. Like in that regard to suicide on the train tracks and stuff. So, I mean, when you talk about stigma, what are we trying to accomplish? I mean, are we trying to bring up the notion that, okay, suicide happens and we want people to be more aware of it, or are we trying to say, you know what, if you do feel a certain way, we want you to get help, but we're not going to publicize this? Like, I don't like, what is the ultimate goal? Like, what are we trying, like, because you don't want to constantly be putting a message out there about suicide, but you also don't want people hurting themselves.
But you need to put the message about suicide out there. You need to raise awareness that this is happening. Like I said earlier with the suicide fact, almost 4,000 people died of suicide. And I think I read somewhere too, like at least 3 million people tried. Like only 4,000 died. But you know, when you're getting numbers like that, like you want people to know that this is a real like possibility for, you know, the person sitting beside you, or the person standing in front of you or behind you, or your family member or your best friend. Like, this is something that can happen if you don't monitor them closely, if you care enough about them, or you don't, you know, like it's just a real thing, you know. So,
but we've got cry for help, and we've got people that are serious. So when someone's serious and they've thought,
you can't
about
help them.
You can't help them. They know what they're doing. They chose an appropriate weapon to get the job done. So now you're telling me that you want me to worry about the people that have a cry for help?
Yeah. Because as I stated earlier, that cry for help isn't just like, oh, daddy didn't buy me a BMW, so, you know, I'm going to try to kill myself so I can get attention. It's potentially someone who, you know, and I'm going to use myself as an example because I'm the only one I know right now, but someone who was molested as a child or had struggles through their life or went through any number of things, you know, hospitalized, whatever, traumatized, like people who experience that and just can't handle it anymore. Like, those are the people that we need, you know, the ones that survive. The survivors are the ones that we need to try to help and need to raise awareness for, you know, because they're out there. And there's more of them than we think. I don't think the numbers that they gave me were accurate. I think there's more people. They just don't report it because of stigma.
I was just looking at it from the perspective of, once you're already trying to commit suicide, isn't it too late?
No, it's absolutely not. No, it's absolutely not too late. It's absolutely not, because you're not, what's what I'm looking for? I think it's ambivalent. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but it's not too late. Like, I've given the example of the young woman that I met earlier last year before, and she had suicidal ideation. She was thinking about it strongly, but she got the help that she needed, and she's in a better place now. I'm still in touch with her, and she's in a better place now. Had no one sought help for her, because she couldn't seek help for herself, she could be dead right now.
And I'm not taking anything away from that. I just want to look at what got us to the place where you were having these thoughts. Do we want to focus on dealing with the effects, or do we want to deal with the cause? So,
but what if the cause is something you can't deal with? What if the cause is something like someone you know dies, and you feel like you want to die, and you fall into a deep, deep depression, and then you end up trying to take your life.
Well, I'm going to oversimplify this, but you might need to recognize that death is a part of life.
What if it's your child?
Like I said, I'm not like you're just trying to throw scenarios out there just for the sake of throwing them out there. But like, what I'm saying is, things happen, and we have to learn to deal with them. Now, I can't speak on the loss of a child because I haven't experienced that. I don't have a child. I haven't experienced the birth of a child. What I am saying is that we have to find ways to deal with all the challenges that we face, and I would rather us work towards, like I've said before, dealing with what is causing the problem. So you said you're just using the death of a child. Well, I don't know how to get over the death of a child.
No.
I wouldn't know where to start. But maybe talking first, maybe that is the first way to, and talking to someone that's not going to judge you or maybe provide, like maybe it's not talking to someone that's not in your family. I don't know. But I'm saying there is a lot that happens before, based on what you've said, based on what other people have said, there's a lot that happens from the time of an initial challenge, issue, problem to the point where I'm going to take my life. There's a lot that happens there. So instead of us just focusing on that aspect of it, what about dealing with what is causing us to feel this way?
I think probably because everyone's situation is like unique. Like we all have these unique situations where we find ourselves potentially thinking about death or whatever the case may be. And I'm talking about we as in the mental health community. Like I'm speaking on that right now. And we face challenges that cause us and lead us to, and maybe we don't share, and maybe we don't go see a therapist. Maybe we isolate, like I was saying, they isolate themselves. Maybe we isolate from friends and family. And people are so busy being busy and important that they might not see what's clearly right in front of them. Like that their friend or loved one is suffering. That friend or loved one might hide it to the best of their ability until they can and just keep it in their head until they're ready. And then one day they bounce out of their house and they're happy as a clam and they're saying their hellos and goodbyes and giving their stuff away. And then the next thing you know, they're dead, or they're an alcoholic and they drink themselves to absolute death. Or they use drugs and they kill themselves. And they had no control over how much drugs, they might have been using. Like it's different. I think it's just different situations for different people, and it's hard to say at what point you should intervene. But once you know. You can't turn a blind eye to it. You can't say, this person didn't just ask me how many pills it takes to kill themselves. I can't ignore that. Or sometimes I just want to die. I can't ignore that. But everything else can be covered up. But once they open up to you and they say what they're feeling and what they're thinking, that's the time to take action. If you can't do what, you were saying and take action before, that's the time. So this unique population of people, I think that's the support that they need. Trying to prevent an attempt, so prevention. And there's also something called postvention, which I wanted to talk about. So there are some organizations that you can reach and contact that offer postvention services. And it's basically for survivors of people who have committed suicide. And they help you through the grieving process. They help you develop coping skills. It's really, and they stick with you for the first year, like through to the anniversary of the suicide.
Okay.
So they give you that kind of support. Initially, according to what I read, you feel confusion, disbelief, and shock. And I could attest to that because I've talked to I had a conversation with my mother about what happened, and all she could say is, when I heard, I couldn't believe it. Not my daughter. Not my daughter. That's all I could say. So there's that level of shockness. But then there's, you go through the stages, anger, denial, it's happening, and they stick with you through all of that. And the good thing about it is there's some situations set up for children too. So children whose parents or parent have committed suicide, because they're some of the most vulnerable in the population of survivors. So I thought that was like pretty powerful, but there are challenges there too, because now going back to what we were talking about, nature and nurture, and if it's inherited, you know, that child might then, if they're not getting the care they need in regards to and the guidance and the structure they need, they might start exhibiting self-destructive behavior.
I hear what you're saying.
And I appreciate that you can hear me. So I'm going to go to those questions that I wanted to ask you. And they might seem simple and they might seem strange, but I want you to just answer them as honestly as possible. So what makes you feel happy?
Waking up in the morning.
What makes you feel sad?
Working.
How do you cope with sadness or depressed feelings?
I go to yoga.
What do you do to cheer yourself up?
Not sure, because I'm pretty good most of the time.
Pretty good most of the time?
Yeah, I live by myself. That's like the happiest thing ever.
Amen.
You want me, the key to happiness? Live by yourself.
By yourself. I live by myself as well, so I know exactly what he's talking about. This one I'm interested in, because I feel like I know what they are, but I'm interested in this one. List 1 or 2 situations in your life that cause you to feel depressed.
Cousin passing away when I was in my early 20s, and dealing with the end of my marriage.
Okay. And how long did you feel depressed during these times? Do you remember?
I don't even know what like depressed means. So, well, I know what depressed means,
Low,
but I hate when people throw the word depressed around, because I was never depressed. I don't think I was depressed with anything.
I'm not talking about clinical depression.
Yeah, but since we gotta be clear with the language that we're using.
I'm gonna talk about language.
Yeah, we gotta talk about it. Like yeah, so sad maybe. I don't know. Month. Okay.
Yeah,
maybe a month or 2.
You're resilient.
Month or 2 or 3.
That's still resilient. Discuss the effects of weather.
My grass was greener.
Your grass is greener?
Yeah, I just want to say that.
I know this one, but I'm going to ask anyway. Weather and music on your mood. Does it affect it?
I mean, I can't listen. I haven't listened to a song that makes me angry, so I don't know. Actually, there was.
You should listen to some new songs, some new music.
Actually, for the first time in my life where music made me sad was, the marriage thing. There were some songs that I was like, but it was the weirdest thing, because the songs had nothing to do with the relationship.
It was just an emotional time.
It was just the content of the songs or the lyrics, but they really didn't play a direct role in anything that was significant. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you like best about yourself and why?
What I like best about myself? I love everything about me.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
I love that answer.
I don't know what there's.
I wanted to ask you those questions just because, to get a sense of it. I would answer them, I think, a little differently, but to just get a sense of like how grounded you are and how well you know yourself. Because I think
Yeah, but I spent time to learn myself. And figure things out.
you spent time, and I think people don't give themselves enough time to be able to answer these questions. I think they don't give themselves enough time. They just kind of, and I'm going to say it, and people might not like me saying it, but they give up. Like, I'm sorry, like, what I did 3 years ago it's inexcusable. Like, I know that there are people still out there that are going through what they're going through, and they exhibit self-destructive behavior, and they talk about it and they think about it, and I get that. But I was so disappointed in myself for my self-destructive behavior. I mean, I'd done some self-destructive shit before, but nothing of that nature. And I was so disappointed in myself, and had things gone left instead of going right, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast, talking to y'all, and, you know, chilling with JR. Like, and that would be a crying effing shame. But before we wrap things up, I wanted to provide, and JR's going to put this at the bottom of the description in this podcast, where you can go for help. So, number one, the Crisis Center, the Toronto, and this is just Toronto and Ontario, sorry for all our foreign listeners, but you could always look stuff up on your internet. Crisis Center, Toronto District, Toronto Distress Center, sorry, and I have the phone number. I'll give you the phone number again in the description. The Suicide Prevention Center, and that's the Ontario Suicide Prevention Network. Kids Help Phone, Mental Health Crisis and Response, the Gernstein Mobile Crisis, Family Support Services Toronto, and Mental Health Services Ontario Hotline. And obviously, of course, never ever forget, there's always the police 911 if it's a serious emergency.
Cool.
So, if you guys, if you're struggling, like, honestly, if you're struggling and you just want to share your feelings and emotions with me, you know, you want to talk about some stuff, let's start emailing each other. Let's start an email chain about this, and open up. Don't, because you're not alone. You're not alone with us, right, JR?
Right.
So, JR, tell them how they can reach us if they wanna get in touch.
Definitely, you can reach us at dysh, dysh, at dailydish.com. You can reach us in the comments section on YouTube. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. We truly appreciate you for listening to us on Apple Podcasts.
Give us a 5, you deserve a 5.
If you're listening to us on any other platform, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. You can always comment and receive feedback from Onika. Thank you so much for listening. That is it for me. Truly appreciate you. Thank you so much. See you next week.
All right, guys, that has been the dish of the day, and I hope y'all have yourselves a very, very, very happy hump day.